Utah at Utah State, Friday night college football. We got a free pick from Vegas Runner. Ace, who do you like and why?
I really like Utah State in this spot, catching over a touchdown. These two haven't played the last 2 years, and this is a big interstate rivalry. This is a big game for Utah State. And the one thing about Utah is they have not seen this two-headed quarterback attack of Utah State, and their defense is not going to be ready for it. These two combined for over 5,900 yards last year, over 3,000 of those on the ground. I think they're going to have no problem at all putting up points against Utah.
This is one of those, you alluded to it being a rivalry. This is what I call a one-sided rivalry.
Yep.
Utah doesn't get pumped up for Utah State the way Utah State gets pumped up for them. Utah's rivalry is actually next week when they play BYU. This is a great look-ahead spot for them, other than the fact that you're playing a Friday night game on ESPN, but the home crowd will be pumped up for the Utah State team.
Great point. Second main point.
Let's not forget, the head coach for Utah State, Anderson, he was the offensive coordinator at Utah, so he knows Kyle Whittingham better than anyone. And having time to prepare for this team, because remember, they played a cupcake last week. I think he's going to have this team ready. He's going to know the Utah offense and the game planning better than anybody. So let's not forget, here's a team that's been behind in double digits a lot over the last 2 years, and yet they've come back and covered 6 of those games, being down double digits in the last 2 years.
Here's a point.
They're always there. They're always in the game.
Here's a point that I want to make. You said that Gary Anderson knows Kyle Whittingham, but Kyle Whittingham knows Gary Anderson.
I agree. I agree.
And also, I was going to say about this particular game, you're right about one thing. They both played cupcakes last week, and they both won pretty handily. They both cruised. In fact, Utah State got a lot of late money, if you guys saw the line movement coming in, and it was money of respect that was getting bet on the Aggies. They end up winning the game 34-3. They outgained Southern Utah 589 to like 208. I mean, it could have easily been 56-3 if this team. I don't think they unleashed all that they could have after they opened up a very early 21-0 lead. Here's one thing you're going to see, guys, that is going to be talked about all week as we build up for this game going into Friday. 27 lost lettermen for the Utah State Aggies, more than any other team in the WAC. But guess what? Out of the starters they bring back and the depth they bring back, it's a little bit in each unit. There's no one
7
unit.
on offense, 6 on defense.
And you've got a little bit to the offensive line. You've got a little bit of experience and leadership on defense in the trenches at linebacker. So there's no one unit of this football team that was decimated by guys leaving due to eligibility.
And don't you think, Scott, even though you said about the head coaching, Whittingham knows Anderson, right, but don't you think it's more advantageous because Anderson was just the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Whittingham's the head coach.
Oh, he's going to know
so
both
he knows
sides.
how he does the offense, the defense, the special teams.
I agree.
So I think it's a little more of an edge.
So I want to go back to what Scott said. I thought it was a great point. I think handicappers rightfully so consider early in the season the returning starters. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. But all returning starters aren't equal. Some are superstars. Mm-hmm. Some aren't much better than their backups, the year before that are now going to be playing. But you also make a point I haven't heard made, which is it's almost like cluster injuries, right? If you have one injured linebacker, one safety, one offensive lineman, no big deal. If you have 3 linebackers injured, it can become a big deal.
Exactly.
You're saying same thing early in the year with losses is each of your, you've got your linebackers, D-line, D-backs, you've got your running backs, receivers, O-line, and quarterback is a standalone position, is if you have a situation where every one of these segments of the team, if none of them are decimated, to use your great word, it's more meaningful. You could have 5 guys from, one from each that you lost, but if you had 5 linebackers you lost or 5 D-backs, it can be a whole different game.
Yeah, I always have 2 points when I handicap early in the season in college football. I want to see if a team's lost a lot of lettermen, which means depth, not just starters, but I also want to see where they lost it. If you got a right-handed quarterback in a passing offense and you've lost your top 2 left tackles from the season before, I'm going to be looking possibly to play against that right-handed quarterback because the left tackle is the guy who guards his blind side when he's making those passes. As far as Utah State's concerned, as I mentioned, it's like the best case scenario you could have for losing a lot of players because there's enough experience and know-how in each unit left over from last year.
All right, great stuff. Here's the time for the official pick.
Look for Utah State to keep this game extremely close. Again, they're a team that's been able to come back from being down double digits 6 times in the last 2 years. I like Utah State plus the 7.5.
All right, well, here's my last question on this. Does anyone watch Big Love, the old HBO show set in Utah? Does that help your handicapping on this?
Not on this game, no.
All right.
Have you seen Chloe Savigny's early work?
I have.
Okay,
Brown
well,
Bunny. Brown
it
Bunny.
kind of distracts me a little bit. He knows the title.
You like kids, right?
Vior's taking a dog, and he didn't mention leaving the back door open.
Well, with the injured, you saw the Utah quarterback, 2 surgeries in the last 2 years, so the back door is going to stay open.
All right, guys, we got a ton of videos this week, and you can get them all at pregame.tv. Talk to you there.